Plenty to get to from the Texans wild card win against the Los Angeles Chargers. Man, appreciate everybody hanging around, getting us started here with Landry Locker earlier on YouTube. If you were in there watching that and coming over on this one, appreciate it. If you're just here for me, appreciate you as well. This one is going to be a fun one, talking about an incredible defensive performance that sets things up for the offense to finally come alive. Your super chats go to the front of the line. We get to all your comments, questions, joys, and concerns over the course of this one as well. Right out the gate, Nate Davis will take his comment. Then I got some things I want to get to. We're the Kubiak Texans, but slightly better. Tell you what, those Kubiak Texans, they had a little bit more juice on offense than this Texans team, but they didn't have this level of juice on defense. It was kind of Watt-centric with a couple of guys helping out here and there. There's some really good potential to this defense, and we're going to talk about that and so much more. Get those comments in. Appreciate everybody staying up late and talking some Texans with me. Let's start with the improv spark from C.J. Stroud. I mean, this thing was not going right for the offense. It was not anywhere near what it needed to be for this offense. They had putrid drives up to this point. John Mechie catches the football and fumbles. They go 3 and out, and the defense is hanging on. And the Texans finally get the ball back, and there is just so much just chaos there in the second quarter. And they have a interception from C.J. Stroud intended for John Mechie. They get the ball back right away from that interception from Kamari Lassiter, and then they end up punting off of that one. They get the ball back after the defense holds yet again. The defense is balling at this point. And then they get the ball, and C.J. Stroud, after Titus Howard ruins a great play over the middle with a tripping penalty that was a little iffy, C.J. Stroud catches the ball but doesn't catch the ball, fumbles, picks it up, chunks that sucker to Xavier Hutchinson, and boom. From that moment on, the Texans felt like they took off. Man, it just felt like they took off and got things going right there after that. And that sparked this team. D'Amico Ryans talked about it. A bunch of the players talked about it. That sparked this team, got the offense going, got them dialed in, got the Texans defense, got the battery recharged from that. That was one of the biggest plays of the entire season, was Stroud improving that thing together and making it work. And I was worried sick when the ball hits the turf. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, Jesus, what's going to happen here? Like, is he going to be able to get the ball up and get it out of his hands so it's an incomplete pass? Like, they're going to have to punt. The Chargers are going to put points on the board before halftime. What's going to go on? Nope, just Xavier Hutchinson for 34 yards. A few moments later, Nico Collins is in the end zone, and the Texans play some really good defense, force a 3 and out from the Chargers, and then that offense, it sparked. C.J. Stroud's scramble there on that drive sets them up for another few bit of points. It's 10-6 at halftime, and there's a little bit of an exhale from the offense, and the defense gets to recharge those batteries heading in. That was a huge play, a total game-changing play. Incredible stuff from C.J. Stroud to make that happen. Again, I asked the question at the moment, how many quarterbacks can even make that play? How many quarterbacks can even corral the ball, are mobile enough to get that ball out and throw it away? Like, Lamar can do it, Mahomes can do it, Josh Allen can do it, like maybe Caleb Williams. Like, there's only about 7 or 8 quarterbacks, and Stroud's one of them, that can go and make that play. Find the football, be able to chunk that thing, and find Xavier Hutchinson. So, man, that thing just kind of energized not only the offense, recharged the defense's batteries. The stadium was in on it. Stroud's run after that was another big element. Just really impressive stuff to kind of stay with it and then stay dialed in to the point where they could get that going, and finally got enough out of the offense. The defense, what can you say about this? This is an efficient Chargers football team. They are a good football team. They've had some impressive moments over the course of this season. I talked about this on Houston Football, though, and I think I've even talked about it here on the YouTube channel. Justin Herbert has bad days against good defenses. The Texans are top half of the league in defense. Herbert has 2 wins and 6 losses against top half of the league defenses. Okay, he averages 225 yards and a touchdown in those games. And if Ladd McConkey doesn't get loose for 86 yards, Herbert throws for under 200 yards. He throws 4 interceptions in this game, which is more than his season total of 3. Like, the defense set the tone early. They were after it. They got a little lucky with Will Dissly dropping that pass on the second Chargers drive, but they forced the back-to-back field goals, and then they really took off from there. They were physical. Kamari Lassiter had the interception. He thumped the guy that really got guys going. Azeez Al-Shire had the incredible third down stop that set up the 4th down attempt that Jim Harbaugh went for. They threw it to Quentin Johnston. Derek Stingley's all over him. Foley Fatukasi stopping things in the middle. Tim Settle stopping things in the middle. Daniil Hunter's forcing pressures. Danico Autry, he ripped that one guy out of the way and then dove at Justin Herbert like it was a wrestling move. He also had the blocked kick that led to 2 points after the McConkey big play. I mean, player after player after player on this team. Eric Murray with the pick 6 after it goes through McConkey's hands. Like, defender after defender stepped up in a big way. They felt like they were the most disrespected element of this disrespect that the Texans were facing this week. The defense not getting the respect that they wanted and felt like they deserved with big bad Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert coming to town. Yeah, they were ready for Justin Herbert. And an efficient Chargers team looked very inefficient in this matchup. It's a really good job by D'Amico Ryans to call this defense, as well as he did, and his players to go out there and have the level of success that they did in this setup. So, great job by the defense. They ended up dominating the Chargers in this one. So, fantastic job. Let's get to some of your comments. Super Chats jump to the front of the line. We get to all your comments, questions, joys, and concerns in this one. Kenneth says, how'd you enjoy the BE weekend? Kenneth, this is a fantastic weekend, man. Great weekend of football. We got started with 2 great college games, really good NFL game for all of us to watch. And then, whatever the Ravens did to the Steelers. We got 3 big ones tomorrow and another one on Monday, or 2 big ones tomorrow. 3 big ones tomorrow, another one on Monday, whatever it is. Lots of football. It's fantastic. Appreciate the super chat there, Ken. Zach Owen, what a game. This was the CJ I remember great win. Not a total CJ Stroud awesome performance, but enough flashes that if you gave up, you probably want to buy your stock back in CJ Stroud. Look, he's got to have more of those flashes. They've got to be more consistent if they're going to do anything in the rest of this playoff run. He's got to be even better than he was today, but they are around still in this game because of those flashes, the adjustment to get the ball out quick and get it to Nico Collins over the middle a couple of different times, not holding on to it, not trying to do too much with the footballs. Really good job, Zach. Appreciate the super chat. Teeman Anderson's a future defensive player of the year. Yeah, he's a monster, man. He had the unblocked sack on Herbert. Him and Mario Edwards combined on one. He's in there on a couple of run stuffs. He's constantly putting pressure on it. Anderson's a freak, man. He's everything that they wanted when they drafted him. He's way better than he was last year. He's an animal. He's an absolute animal out there. BG, appreciate you for the super chat. He says, let's freaking go, Texans. Glad the crowd was in it all the way through. Why were Johnson's reps so limited? I think he's talking about Deontay Johnson. I guess there's still, maybe he doesn't know exactly what to do. You did see one play where Stroud ended up dumping it short to Nico Collins. It was a play where it took Deontay Johnson a second to get lined up. So I wonder if there's a little element of that. He's a better wide receiver than John Mechie at this point. That put him on the field way more than putting John Mechie on the field. So I would think there's maybe a little bit more from Deontay Johnson, but he's probably got to learn the playbook and get deeper in the playbook and learn a little bit more. But he is out there a little bit. Thought he probably could have had like a nice play over the middle, but Stroud settled for a short one. Hey, not trying to do too much, BG, appreciate you. back in black. I was really looking forward to seeing 48 and 0 on the field at the same time, but I don't recall seeing Harris at all. Any idea why we did not see that? They seem to trust Azeez Al-Shire and Henry To'o as the two linebacker look more than they trust Christian Harris right now. Harris also has an ankle injury that he's been dealing with, so I wonder if that is something that played into this as well. But when Azeez hurt his nuts and went off the field, Henry was the only linebacker out there initially, and then they had Neville Hewitt out there as well when Azeez finally got up off the field. So I wonder if the ankle's still giving Christian Harris a little bit of trouble, and he's still got to knock off rust. You got to remember he hadn't played football, but he hadn't played but like one football game since he got back, so one or two football games. So there's still a lot that Christian Harris has to get counted for. But yeah, so they trust To'o and Azeez Al-Shire a little bit more right now, it seems. And Louis Salas, I think it's Salas. Louis Salas, where was Christian Harris? Yeah, again, I think it's just To'o and Azeez Al-Shire are the guys they trust a little bit more. First time in a while that sunlight was on the field. Yeah, there was that weird little section there that had some sunlight, and then it made its way up the stands and up that side. But yeah, that's a weird little setup. I don't remember that being the case for day games, but then again, they don't play a lot of 3 o'clock later in the day games as well. Andy, appreciate the super chat. Suduke. When is Bobby going to figure out the red zone offense? Shaking my head. Yeah, not great. They did settle for a field goal after they had a little bit of momentum, and then McConkey gets the point, the touchdown. You're thinking to yourself, oh God, like 4 extra points would have been nice, but they settled for 3. So yeah, he does like to throw after Joe Mixon has some rushing success, maybe a little bit too much. We also are very critical of Bobby's starting drives. So it's not perfect. He was okay today. He didn't drastically affect the Texans in a negative way. He had some good moments as the offensive coordinator. Still got to be better. Him and CJ Stroud, if they're a little bit better than what we saw today, Texans are very dangerous in their next matchup. So appreciate the super chats. I'll try to get to some of these other comments as well. Like Brandon says, I said it all week. Chargers call themselves the Bolts. Bolts rhymes with Colts. Texans swept the Colts. Texans win on Saturday. It's a good way to put that, I suppose. Bolts rhymes with Colts. The sun was roasting the Chargers sideline. That was comedic. Yeah. Again, the sun kind of made its way and then made its way up there a little bit. Ballerina Cowboy is who I'll go to next as Ezequiel Tovar. Love how physical this defense is. When you get hit by them, you get bruised and sore. Yeah, they do not hold back, man. They let you know when they're coming and breaking it with this defense. Ballerina Cowboy, best game of the season for the Texans. Yeah, I mean, Buffalo was really good. Probably didn't have as much offense in that one as they did in this one. But Nico went out in that one. The first Colts game was pretty good. Obviously, we know a little bit more about the Colts now, so it's not as impressive. But, yeah, it's a pretty good one. Evan McGinley says, Landry's fired. He doubted us. H-Town. Hey, look, Landry's going to call it like he sees it. I'm going to call it like I see it. We're going to have different opinions from time to time. Look, guys that worry too much about being right don't provide good content for you. Okay? Guys that worry too much about I'm right, I'm wrong, they don't give you the good stuff. Okay? Landry's not worried about being right or being wrong. He's worried about calling it like he sees it. I'm the same way. I'm not worried about being right or being wrong. I'll tell you, hey, I thought this is why I thought this, and I'm wrong, or I thought this is why I thought this, and I'm right, but I'm not worried about my win-loss track record. I'm like a meteorologist. They don't put their, it actually rained track record up there every time the meteorologist runs out there, so I'm not super worried about that. But yeah, people didn't like that Landry sort of picked against the Texans. Okay, well, he gives you good analysis because he calls it like he sees it. He saw it wrong. Other people saw it differently. There you go. Again, he's not going to count his wins and losses. I'm not going to count his wins and losses. Okay, we're going to entertain you. We're going to give you good information, and I'm not going to worry about I was right or I was wrong. And when I'm wrong, you're not going to hear me run from it either. A perfect example. I thought Dalton Schultz was the only scenario they should have gone with in the offseason at the tight end spot. Wrong. Okay, I'm not going to run from being wrong. All right, I'm not going to tout the wins too much. Mito's Gaming says, Cody, what's your honest take on John Mechie? He's not very good. He's just not very good. He's not a very good wide receiver. He doesn't get open. He doesn't create separation. He is not, you cannot trust him in these big moments like you would need to trust your wide receiver. So, I mean, that's just the ACL injury, add in the cancer diagnosis. Like, he's been through a lot. And I liked John Mechie a lot coming out of college. The knee injury was obviously super concerning. He went through knee injury recovery and then had the cancer situation that he had to deal with. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot. And I don't know that it's ever really clicked for John Mechie. I mean, he's been healthy and playing and practicing for 2 seasons now. So, I mean, this is kind of what he is. And it's just not a guy that consistently gets open. He knows the plays. He blocks his ass off, but he's just not a real good wide receiver right now. Kevin Smith with the super chat. This CJ reminded me of the version we had last year that didn't get down in his feelings when he made a mistake and just came out and kept firing. Does kind of feel that way. Does kind of feel like CJ had this thing tunnel visioned, bad play, screw it. Let's keep going. Let's get to the next one. It does feel that way. There were flashes of 2023 CJ in this game. Certainly. Kevin Smith, appreciate the super chat, my friend. Space City Ballers. Got to get Deontay Johnson involved more. That could help take away from some of the John Mechie stuff. Space City Ballers finishes with Super Bowl defense. That's exactly what we watched, and that's exactly what I hope everybody feels and realizes. This is a Super Bowl caliber defense. And when they're on and their coverage is working as well as it is and their pass rush is getting there and they're stopping the run with that front seven, it's going to be hard to beat them. Okay, you're going to be able to score points against them, especially if you're a better team than the Chargers, but it feels like when they're dialed in, you're not running away with this. You're not beating up on the Houston Texans a whole bunch. So it is absolutely a Super Bowl caliber defense. Patrick with a super chat. CJ 1-5 against the Harbaughs. Hope that broke the seal. I hope we never talk about the Harbaugh record again because I hope they don't see – well, I guess they'll see the Chargers next year. They go to L.A. for the Rams, and they go to Seattle next year as well. But, yeah, Jim Harbaugh got him a couple of times. He went and got Jim Harbaugh today, though. Back in Black asks, who do you want, Stoots, Chiefs or Ravens? Look, I want the Chiefs. The Ravens feel like they're dialed in right now. If you do have to go through Baltimore, I prefer it to be in the AFC Championship after they have to play a tough game. And then I like DeMeco Ryans getting a second crack at a team. I like DeMeco Ryans getting another look at a team. And the Chiefs have been off for like 20 days by the time you play that game. So I want the Chiefs in this one. Who'd the Texans do better against? Kansas City on the road versus Baltimore at home. Now you got to go to Baltimore. Yeah, no thanks on that. No thanks on that. All right. Let's see here, man. The super chats keep coming. Appreciate y'all. Thank you. Nate Davis, I have a conspiracy they're saving Deontay and Christian Harris for our divisional round game. Not going to lie. I would say that is not a good conspiracy theory with Deontay Johnson. And if there was a chance that he was maybe upset with not getting the ball as much, hopefully they've got the right guys to kind of work through that if that pops up. Christian Harris, I think it was his ankle. So, Stone Alone 5X's says, how would you grade today's offensive line? Look, it was not great early on. They had a really rough first half where the Chargers were getting home on some of those sacks. They still had the one, like, damn it, how do you not put a hand on Khalil Mack moment? And they couldn't push the pile early on against the Chargers. And Poona Ford, the guy in the middle of that Chargers defense, is so damn good. Bosa and Mack still had a lot of juice there as well. So it wasn't great early on. They got it going, though. They sort of settled down, gave C.J. Stroud some time. I mean, they gave C.J. Stroud plenty of time on that interception he threw when he was trying to get it to Mechie. Like, that was a bad play by C.J. That wasn't the offensive line's fault. Now, there was a moment here or there, a little bit more pressure than you want, Stroud running for his life. That's a good defense. They're going to pressure you sometimes. The offensive line can't be perfect. They just got to be good more than they were. I think they were pressuring C.J. Stroud almost 37% at one point. It felt like they got a much better there in the second half. dialed in, focused in. This is the offensive line grouping I want to see going forward. I don't care if Shaq Mason gets healthy. Keep Drew Scruggs there at right guard. Fisher had a rough moment. The Fishers had some success. Larry Tunsil got beat. Well, it's Joey Bosa. He can turn back the clock every now and then. I think back to what that Will Campbell, he's an offensive tackle prospect from LSU. He says, hey, you get one sack a week and you're a top 5 pick. You give up one sack a week and they want to have you working over at Amazon. Like, you can give up a sack. Like, you don't have to be perfect. It just has to be more consistent and coherent, and it was today. So a better job from the offensive line than we have seen in the past. Thank you, Stone Alone 5X's. Cade Campisi, the super chat. When Cody in the booth, the lion is loose. First off, Rex Ryan, shut your mouth. Second off, I hate looking at the negative, but the sloppiness was in prime time in the first half. Do we have any shot next week? You've got a shot with this defense, Cade. This defense gives you a shot against anybody. I don't care if you're going on the road to Baltimore. I don't care if you're taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. You got a shot with this defense if they show up and they play well. It's the offense that you're more worried about. They got to be more consistent. You got to see more of those flashes from C.J. Stroud. The offensive line's got to be good from go, and you got to be able to run the football. But if this defense shows up, you got a chance against anybody. I don't care if it's Lamar and Derrick Henry. I don't care if it's Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and DeAndre Hopkins. You got a chance with this defense playing this well. Rex Ryan, man, I can't wait to see what Rex Ryan has to say. I got to imagine that his NFL Live colleagues, his Get Up colleagues, are going to have him gassed up, ready to talk about this. He'll probably just say the Texans are a bye week for the next team. That's my guess on what Rex Ryan is going to say. Cade, appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for the super chat. Very generous. Thank you, everybody, for checking in, watching in. As Peter says, hit the like button. It's the little thumbs up icon. That certainly helps the channel as well. Thank you, everybody, for staying up late here on a Saturday night. You're probably up anyway, but thanks for checking in here on the live stream. Talking about the Texans taking care of their business. 32-12, 4 interceptions of Justin Herbert in this one. Man, what a fun game this ended up being. Ezequiel Tovar, man, you got to help me out on this one. Is J.J. Watt still coming? No, J.J.'s not coming. J.J.'s not coming. Where would you play him? You playing him over Will or Daniil? No. C.J. played like he wasn't afraid to make mistakes. Yeah, there was an element. This is a good comment here, Real T-Talk. There was an element of like trying to be too careful sometimes, trying to make the perfect play instead of just making the play that was in front of you. That's what I would say from C.J. Stroud is just and make the play that's in front of you. And more often than not, even if you have to dink and dunk some things, keep the train on the tracks, keep the thing moving, stay in positive yardage situations. You'll be fine more often than not. Trey of Texas says Mechie should be on the field less, Deontay Johnson way more. His upside is bigger than Mechie, Hutch, and Woods combined. Yeah, I mean, I want to see more Deontay Johnson. He got open as hell on that one play, but I think they're still trying to figure him out, lining him up, getting him lined up. He was in the wrong spot on the wrong side at one point, so we'll see. Let's see. Daniel Deloney says, let's draft Will Campbell. They're not going to be high enough to draft Will Campbell. That dude's top 10er. And if he's not a top 10er, they're still not going to be high enough to get him. So, okay, that's quite the conspiracy theory here, David. He says that Herbert threw the game so the team get back to L.A. and save their houses from the fire. Well, they're going back to L.A. win, lose, or draw. So, another super chat here from Jadio Portillo. I'm thinking ahead, but imagine the Broncos beat the Bills, then the Chiefs. We beat the Ravens. We'd have the AFC Championship in Houston versus Denver. Now, Senor Portillo, dream no little dreams. I like this. I like this dream because I was dreaming the Steelers-Broncos victory and host somebody next week. So I was dreaming that before this weekend got started. So I like this dream. Dream no little dreams. This is a good dream to have. Okay? But the Bills, they're susceptible to an upset. That Broncos defense goes on the road, plays really well. Bo Nix gives you enough Next thing you know, the Bills are going home. Broncos get the Chiefs. Texans take on the Baltimore Ravens. It's a divisional game. Mahomes versus Sean Payton and company for the third time. Maybe they upset him. You go to Baltimore. Tough game, real tough game. Baltimore crushed you in your house. Why wouldn't they crush you in their house? You sneak past the Ravens. Bing, bang, boom. You're back at NRG Stadium for the AFC Championship game. Sounds easy enough to me. I like the way you're thinking. And by sounds easy enough, I mean freaking impossible. But, you know, it's a good thought. It's a good thought. It's pronounced Ezekiel. Okay, I'll get it right next time. Ezekiel Tovar. Neon Peacock. I get scared every time Woods gets the ball. Buddy of mine asked me before the game. He said, "Hey man, I'm thinking about going under on Robert Woods' receiving prop. You know, I want to bet on this. I think I'm going under on Robert Woods." I said, "Robert Woods will have 2 catches. What's the number?" He said, "It's 1.5. I'm going to go under." I said, "Don't go under. Robert Woods will have 2 catches. 2 catches in this one. He has 2 catches like every game. It's like they reward him for being a good blocker. You know how many catches Robert Woods had? 2 catches. 2 catches. Hopefully my buddy listened. Rex Ryan ruined his chances of coaching the Jets again. Yeah, probably not great for Rex Ryan. Teeman asks, is Nico a top 5 wide receiver in the league? Insane route running, solid hands at his size. And he's awesome. You know, he's really good. I feel like a healthy season, he would have been right up there with some of the top wide receivers in the league this year statistically. I would tell you right off the bat, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson are better than him. Amon-Ra St. Brown's got an argument to be better than him. And so does CeeDee Lamb. So there's 4 right away that I would tell you, I feel like those guys are better than Nico Collins. You want to tell me Nico's 5 behind Chase, Jefferson, Amon-Ra, and Lamb? You want to have a good argument about Amon-Ra or Lamb? Like, I'll listen. Like, he's close. He's really close. He's got to stay healthy. Got to stay healthy for a season. But he's close. It's good. It's good question. Good observation, Teeman. Big super chat here from NM Hobo. I wonder if that's New Mexico Hobo. If it's not, we'll just go NM Hobo. He gives the H's up. My soulmate of 32 years passed away unexpectedly last Saturday. Fly to the Angels, right? Go Texans. I'm sorry to hear that, NM Hobo. That is unfortunate. Nobody likes to lose a loved one. I'm sorry for your loss. And hopefully the Texans game today gave you a little bit of happiness in a trying time. Appreciate you watching the channel, and thoughts and prayers to your family at the loss of your soulmate there. Appreciate you watching the channel, and like I said, hopefully the Texans go on a nice little run for you, continue to give you something to smile about in a tough time. Thank you for the super chat. All right, here. I must Pandaline. Big Xavier Hutchinson fan. She was chirping us on the Twitter account earlier. Can we find a new punt returner, please? That was going to be Tank. Tank's hurt now, so it's kind of Robert Woods, I guess. I put Deontay Johnson back there, maybe. That'd be a way to get him the ball and get him on the field. I put Deontay Johnson back there. Rocky Ortiz, Texans came out and handled their business. The Rhino, longtime supporter of the channel. Love seeing you in here, man. Excited about CJ looking real CJ-ish. And Stoots is my dog, so money. I think that's is that the money sign? Is that the Johnny Manziel? Like that. Dorino, appreciate you, man. Thank you for the super chat. Very generous. Good stuff. Yeah, that's one of the biggest things coming out of this game. CJ Stroud puts that together, has a 2023-esque run here, and that defense plays like they can play. You're a contender. You're a Super Bowl contender. You've got a Super Bowl defense. The offense has lagged behind this year. But if CJ Stroud can harness, go in there and recapture some of that 2023 goodness, and he can put that out there for 2.5 quarters, 3 quarters in the next game, you can win that football game. Now, the defense got to do their job. Whoever you play, it's going to be very difficult, Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. Okay, going to be very tough. But defense goes out there, does their job, and you get 2023 CJ Stroud, you're winning that football game. You're going to win that football game. This defense has crush you potential. If you get 2023 CJ Stroud and a good offensive performance from this team, a little bit of Joe Mixon mixed in there, you're winning the next football game. That's one of the biggest developments coming out of this is the flashes of 2023 CJ, like the kind of the old nasty crackling of 2024 starting to fall off, and that 2023 starting to shine through a little bit, and CJ's brushing off all the crap from 2024, and you're starting to see 2023 CJ again. That's what you're kind of seeing there. Some of these flashes. It's got to be more constant, got to be more consistent. And you got to have a lot more than what you had today, obviously. But if you get it, holy crap, are you playing for an AFC championship? I think you are. So, it's great to see my good buddy Brad Kellner in here. BK's got himself a fantastic YouTube channel. I highly encourage you to follow that if you are a fan of the Texas Longhorns. You can commiserate over some of the unfortunate nature of the Longhorns recently, but it's great to see my old radio co-host and my very good friend Brad Kellner in here. I put his YouTube channel in there, and he says, Joe Mixon yelling belt to ass and flashing gang signs on Nickelodeon after putting the slime hat on is a top 10 moment in Texans history. Cal McNair also threw on the slime hat as well. That's on the Texans YouTube page. Man, what? Joe Mixon, the MVP of this game. So the Nickelodeon Most Valuable Player is awarded to the Nickelodeon team's best player, although sometimes it's awarded the losing player, like I think Mitch Trubisky got it one year. But yeah, Joe Mixon, unique individual, and very, very, very much himself at all times. So good to see BK. Go follow his YouTube channel if you're a Texas fan. If you don't like Texas, still follow the YouTube channel and then just go and write horns down on every video. BK will love that too. So great to see my buddy BK in there. Let's see here. Dameon Pierce, our other returner. Yeah, I mean, he does kickoff returns. He doesn't do punt returns. I'm not doing Dameon Pierce at punt returns. Not without having him practice it, having seen him practice it, or having seen it maybe in a preseason game. I don't think that's in the tool belt for Dameon Pierce. Back in black, Holly Molly Donut Shop. Tunsil had 0 penalties. That can't be right. Must be why he gave up the sack, ? You know, sometimes Laramie getting started early helps him avoid giving up a sack and maybe trying not to get a penalty at home. He started a little late. And look, Joey Bosa just threw vintage Bosa in there. Like, when you're as good as Joey Bosa, when you're as good as Khalil Mack, when you're as good as Will Anderson or Danielle Hunter, it's hard to keep those guys off the stat sheet. It's hard to block those guys every time. Laramie Tunsil gives up 1 sack, gets bodied by vintage Joey Bosa. It happens, you know. But no penalties is great. So LT, most penalized player in the regular season, but no penalties on this one. Good job by LT. Thank you for the super chat there, Back in Black. Appreciate you. Patrick says, I did not expect a 99-yard drive. Me neither. Yeah. Did anybody think that offense was capable of that? I didn't. It's a great job by them to finish that thing off. Rick says DP runs hard when he builds up some steam. He should be the return guy. Well, you don't build up steam on punt returns. Like, that's not how it works from a punt return standpoint. So that's not quite how it works for DP. And he hasn't done it. So not ready to see that. It's going to be Robert Woods and I guess maybe some Deontay Johnson. King Young, can we get Stroud a baseball coach to keep him to slide? Geez, he scares me. You know, there was something the officials were doing in this game that pissed me off. They were marking CJ Stroud down where he began his dives, and that is not what they're supposed to do. When he slides, when he starts the slide, that's when they're supposed to mark him down. not when he begins his dive. And they screwed him on the one that D'Amico Ryans challenged as well. That was the wrong call by the officials. So like that was unfortunate. But I feel like he does a pretty good job of protecting himself. Like he's getting down and avoiding some of those big hits. But I understand your concern, King Young. Anderson Fontura. Anderson Fontura. How did I do? I know that we can't pick anyone, but I'd rather play the Chiefs than the Ravens. Do you have a preference? I want the Chiefs. D'Amico Ryans getting a second crack at them. The Ravens, they stomped you at your place on Christmas Day. Like, I think you want a bigger game, or hopefully, maybe going to Buffalo instead of going to Baltimore. Maybe they're feeling themselves and they want to go to Baltimore out of this one. It wouldn't surprise me if this defense wants another crack at it after they got embarrassed against Baltimore. Same with the offense. I prefer Kansas City. I know it sounds crazy that you want the world champions coming off of a bye, but they'll be 20-plus days resting by the time they get into this one. So maybe you catch them, off guard to start and jump out to a nice little lead. So I prefer the Chiefs. Tough place to play, man. Baltimore's no slouch either, though. Neither's, Buffalo if you eventually have to end up there. So, Anderson, appreciate the super chat. Thank you. Dies says, CJ got to keep using his legs. Absolutely. It has got to be a weapon going forward. And it gives him confidence, too. Like it gives the offensive line confidence. It gives the receivers confidence. It gives them energy, juice. You saw it in this game. He's got to continue to use his legs. What are your thoughts on the penalties? The Chris Boyd penalty, that sucked. Titus Howard's tripping penalty kind of was BS. Got him on a hold penalty one time. It happens. It's not as nasty and as bad as we thought it was going to be from a penalty standpoint when they started early and things were kind of falling apart. BK says 430 plus watching, only 133 likes. Throw Stoots the like button. Hey, man, appreciate that, BK. It's a little thumbs up button there below the video. Let's see here. Brian says, Cody, the Texans showed up today and played for 3 quarters. Yeah, I mean, look, the defense was there for all 4, but that offense had some moments there in each of the quarters after that. So, yeah, you're right about that, Brian. Got a super chat from Stone Alone, 5X's. I hope they run strip balls drills next practice. Man, Joe Mixon, let's talk about that play. Mechie, I mean, come on. You can't do that. You don't have the cachet built up to make a mistake if you're John Mechie. It's tough to do that and have the cachet built up. When you have the cachet built up like Joe Mixon, you make a mistake. It's a little bit more understandable. Mechie doesn't have that. So when he makes that mistake early on, first play of the offensive play of the game, like that sucks. But the Mixon play, inexcusable. Joe Mixon is in a situation that he's not supposed to be in. He's not supposed to be thinking about throwing the football and then turning back into a runner. That's not what Joe Mixon does. So when Bobby Slowick, coming off of a huge Nico Collins play, tries to run a freaking halfback pass that doesn't work, and it puts Joe Mixon in a precarious spot and gives somebody a free lick at Joe Mixon and they rip the ball out, that's unfortunate. But yes, ball security has to be much better, because if you turn it over against the Chiefs, the Baltimore Ravens, they have every ability to take advantage of that, whereas the Chargers didn't have as much ability to take advantage of that. And you don't want to put too much on your defense in what's already going to be a tough matchup against either the Chiefs or the Baltimore Ravens. Good point, Stone Alone, 5X. Brandon Howman says, Lassiter better than Kool-Aid McKinstry. Certainly. Lassiter's fantastic, man. He set the tone. He had that thump on the, I think it was a tackle for a loss. He had that big hit. He had the interception, obviously. That was a horrible decision by Justin Herbert. Horrible. Lassiter's a freaking monster, man. He's going to be so good. And you get Stingley locked up and you have Lassiter on that rookie deal for 3 more seasons. Man, it's going to be good. Yeah, look, Trey of Texas has it. CJ's diving, not sliding. The slide rules should not apply to diving. Totally agree. They applied the slide rules to his dives. That was annoying. It screwed the Texans out of some yards there. As Panda says, that was a first down. Yeah, it was a first down. D'Amico shouldn't have had to challenge that. Should have spotted it right the first time. It's okay, officiating crew. Well, how about that was an interception. Derwin James got an interception. CJ Stroud, he's got to put a little bit more on that. That's got to be Dalton or nobody. You can't have the safety come up and make a play there. A pass down the sideline, Derwin James grabs it. He intercepts it. He was clearly down. I don't know why the officials let the play go on. He was clearly down. That to me was an interception. That's one of the plays. It's one of the big plays that went the Texans' way, like one of those, like, flip it. How does the game turn out? It's a little bit different. But that to me was an interception. You know, they overturned it after the official looked at it. The Texans end up putting 3 points on the board there, but you know, let's pretend that it's 10-6. Texans don't put points on the board because of the interception in the end zone, and then the Chargers march down, and all of a sudden it's 10-9. You know, ultimately the Chargers, when they eventually got the ball back, they went 3 and out. So maybe they didn't have the juice. The Nico Autry ended that one, but it could have been a much different situation if that Derwin James interception stands. Kevin Smith says, you think the performance from here on in the playoffs earns Bobby another year? I mean, they go lay an egg against Kansas City or Baltimore, and you should make a change. I would tell you it is more likely than not he's staying. It's outside shot they make the change. And certainly if they win another football game, he's here no matter what. They'll figure it out. They should adjust some things in the offensive room, though. Yeah, I would tell you Bobby's probably staying. He wasn't terrible today, but man, he had some questionable moments, you know, and to not get Nico involved early on, that was a little annoying. Ooh, Joshua coming in hot. KC's soft. They're just lucky. Luck has to run out at some point. Baltimore's firing on cylinders. Plus, I want revenge as KC in their own stadium. And then you could get Baltimore for a little revenge, too, if you wanted, if they take care of their business. So, what'd you think of D'Amico's challenge? Shouldn't have had to use it. Officials should have spotted it right the first time. That healthy front seven's fun to watch, man. Foley Fatukasi's a terror on the inside, man. He helped set the tone there from a rush defense standpoint. Tim Settle had a couple of nice plays. Mario Edwards had a little bit of that pre-suspension Mario Edwards. It's a real fun performance. Derek, Texans players overcame. Yeah, look, resiliency was on the table today. They were a resilient crew to start this season. And then that resiliency sort of disappeared at different points. You know, they were real resilient early on, disappears right around Green Bay, New York, Detroit in the second half. They were too close with the Cowboys for too long. The resiliency wasn't there for a while, and it's back on the menu now. Back on the real resilient crew. Brian Henry, given a season of high expectations, massive disappointments, highs and lows, only logically the Texans will go to Kansas City and nail-biter a game, winning on the last play. Brian, from your lips to God's ears. Although I might not be able to survive a last-second win in Kansas City. Sumo LR. How did Miles Bryant play today? He was on the field a lot today. I didn't feel like he was that bad. He had some early success against Ladd McConkey. Boy, McConkey's a freak. He's really good. He got Stingley a couple times, and of course he had the big touchdown. But I thought Bryant had a couple of nice moments. He's sort of their choice at nickel that keeps Lassiter outside and it keeps Jeff Okudah off the field. So, you know, Miles Bryant's okay. I wouldn't want to see a whole lot there from him, and you're going to have to do things to sort of help him. He's not going to be able to handle like whole games there. But you can have you can be successful for little stretches there with him. Nate asked, they're a better cornerback duo than Sting and Lassiter. Baltimore's crew's pretty good. Not better. Pretty good. It's Lattimore and Wiggins. I mean, Denver, who's Denver's other cornerback? I guess probably by the fact that I don't know it. But Surtain's right there with Derek Stingley as far as cornerbacks. The other cornerbacks, Riley Moss, white guy. Probably not as good as Lassiter and Stingley combined. It's up there. I'd have to do a little research off the top of my head. Long day, probably not. If I had to just yes or no, I'd say maybe no. I have to go find the team or the duo, though. The ref wanted the airtime and put in that work in the gym. Yeah, BK, appreciate that. Yeah, that's the refs, man. They love to jump in there and chit chat and talk, and I don't think that was the right call. I feel like it wasn't the right call. I know some people saying, the ball moved, whatever. Didn't feel like the right call to me. No bad call. Schultz is not athletic enough to catch that pass. The pass, if it's right out there in front of Dalton's hands, he probably catches it. And he was there. They just threw. CJ didn't throw it far enough. Mechie was driving me crazy in the first half. You and me both, man. You and me both. Chargers, first ever team to lose a bye week. Not great, Rex. Not great. Derek, Autry was a bad MF-er today. Yeah, that's the badass that Nick Caserio talked about. When they signed him, he was on with Sean Pendergast, and he said, look, the Nico Autry is a badass. He's a junkyard dog. He's a guy you want to take into an alley fight with you. That dude was on the field today for the Texans. Had the extra point block that D'Angelo Ross took back. He had that one play where he just kind of bowled over the guard and dove at Herbert, and then he had the sack that ended a drive on third down. So, he was nice today, real nice. And when you think about like tackles and what they have to deal with, so Danielle Hunter and Willie Anderson, you don't get a huge break because then you've got Derek Barnett and Danico Autry coming in. So you don't get a huge break, when the Texans rotate their defensive ends. Neon says 1-0 new season. That's all that matters. Yep. Christopher Salonen. This was an exemplary defensive performance today from start to finish. Defense wins championships. Be nice if this defense could keep it up for, say, 3 more games. You guys want to party in New Orleans? Harris hurt. Feels like maybe the ankle, popped back up, but I think they just trust Henry To'o and Azeez Al-Shire a little bit more right now. Eric Murray's had a really nice season, man. He's had some moments where teams picked on him, but Eric Murray's had a really nice season. And to have the pick six today for basically just doing your job right, like that's a good job by him. He explained it to me after the game. I'll put the YouTube video up later. He said, I'm doing this. Ball goes through McConkey's hands and I'm taking off, so really good job by Eric Murray this season. I mean, I thought when he got in the starting lineup, teams are going to pick on him, go try to find him. Not the case, man. Not the case. Texans won because you shaved. Keep it up. You're going to give me some new the pins. When you cut yourself, my stuck-on little chin doesn't do well with my razor, and I cut myself a lot. Give me some of those, the little white pin that keeps you from bleeding. I ran out of mine. Like after 9 years, I'm the ref. Look at me. Cody, have any cold beers tonight? I'll crack a few Steve Weisers, as Stone Cold used to say. Crack a few of those open. Getting pretty close to the time for that for me. No, Dalton could have positioned himself better one-on-one versus a little man. You got to win. Yeah, Derwin James, he's more athletic than most safeties. A couple more comments here, and we'll wrap this sucker up. Pay Stingley, extend Hunter. Well, wouldn't that be nice? I don't know if you can do both. Shaq Mason did not play. Juice Scruggs was the right guard today. This is actually a great point. Autry can't be slamming down Mahomes like he did Herbert. It'd be a 50-yard penalty, loss, a draft pick. Yeah, the NFL might put him to death on the field if he does that to Mahomes. Like, that's definitely a penalty on Mahomes. On Herbert, the officials didn't care. That's a great point, Chris. Great point. Christian S., sorry, I'm late. Probably already answered. Chiefs or Ravens? Chiefs. Rick says the Texans have 6 more hours to prove themselves worthy of the Lombardi Trophy. Yeah, 2 3-hour games, man. Make it happen. Make it happen. Got to take care of the next one before you worry about the other 3 hours, though. What a game. Hope that momentum carries, Jose Morales says. Yeah, you carry it over. Defense plays really well. A little bit more of this good CJ. Fun times ahead. How does ESPN hire a guy like Rex? I mean, we talked about Rex Ryan more this week than we have all season. He did his job. If you don't make that catch, you knock it away. Dalton kind of did knock it away. I mean, ultimately, Darwin didn't come up with it, according to the officials. 9 more hours to win it. 6 more hours to prove you can play for it. 3 more hours to go where no team has gone before for the Houston Texans. So we'll see who the opponent is. Again, game tomorrow to watch, Buffalo and Denver. A Denver victory sends the Texans to Baltimore. A Buffalo victory sends the Texans to Kansas City, has them playing the Chiefs in a rematch from just a few weeks ago. That's my preference. Be interested to know what everybody else's preference is as we go through tomorrow. Chop with a Frank Ross shout out. DC head coach in his future. I don't know what Frank wants to do in his future, but I'll tell you what, Frank Ross, one hell of a special teams coach, man. One hell of a special teams coach. That Nico Collins extension is looking like it'll pay dividends. And Nico Collins extension, real nice. Real nice. Jim says, I want to hate Schultz, Stoots. Help me out here. I mean, come on. Mark says, just jumping in. Thanks for the coverage and insight. Thank you for jumping in, Mark. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in, hanging out. When you get an extra 2 points off their extra point. I mean, what a great play that was. What was the kicker doing? Also, he got demolished on that. I thought that was a penalty. I don't know. I didn't know you're allowed to hit kickers that hard. But he batted it down. I guess he thought if it hits the ground, the play's over. It's not, because D'Angelo Ross picked that sucker up and took that to the house. Great job by him. Kyle says, should they commit more to the defense in the draft or the offense? Could this D be even better than they are? I don't know if you can add a safety or DT that can make this D a Hall of Fame worthy. They got to get better on offense. So we'll worry about the draft when the draft gets here. We got playoff football to talk about, baby. We'll talk about the draft. Although I love the draft, so I'll talk about the draft anytime. Yeah, Neville Hewitt rocked Cameron Dicker. He's probably still feeling it. I don't know how he went in concussion protocol. Dicker thought he could make it an incomplete kick. Yeah. All right. Okay, SNL tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Myself, Landry Locker. It's on the SNL channel. So if you don't follow the Locker Room, follow Landry over at the Locker Room. Follow this channel if you don't follow this channel. If you see a Chargers fan, give him a hug. If you see him in the comment section, let him know. Buffalo, Denver tomorrow. Figure out who they're playing coming out of that one. And Pandaline says, I'll be in church, but love y'all. It's a good job by you. You watch it after the fact or the podcast as well for the SNL Texans talk. All right. Marky Mark, Cody, let me tell you how much I was sweating in that first quarter, but I'm proud of the team persevering and thriving, regardless of what anybody else says. We had a playoff, a hot caliber team. That's a good win. It's a good win. I know the Chargers looked a little stinky there, but that's a good win. That's a good win, and it's a real good job by the Texans taking care of a pretty efficient and good football team in the Chargers and doing it in dominant fashion from the defense, getting enough on their offense. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for the super chats, for the comments, for the thumbs up on the video, the subscribes to the channel, visiting Houston football. Thank you, everybody. Prayers up for New Mexico driver, his super chat earlier. Sorry for your loss. And where's the trumpet man? Trumpet man playing a sad trumpet today. Trumpet man. If you missed Trumpet Man earlier this week, Chargers fan claimed he's famous. He's Trumpet Man. Nobody could explain if he was famous or not. So Trumpet Man will be a legendary moment if they go to the Super Bowl and they win the Super Bowl. We'll always remember Trumpet Man claiming the Chargers were about to win. So, okay, 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, SNL. Everybody get some rest tonight. Crack a cold one if that's your soup du jour. Relax. A lot of football tomorrow. Got football Monday. Texans will be back at work on Monday, so we'll have coverage for you on the YouTube channels, all that great stuff. The locker room, myself, the SNL channel, Houston football. It's great, man. It's great. So a lot of fun, man. However long this damn playoff run goes, it's going to be a lot of damn fun. So I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about it with all y'all. And thank y'all for coming through. Y'all make this so much damn fun. It's fun to cover this team. It's fun to talk about this team with y'all. And I would be nothing without the audience and everybody in here talking about it. So I appreciate y'all. It's very cool. It's very cool, very fun. And I'm blessed to be able to do it and keep doing it each and every day. So thank you, everybody. This is my hope for you. This is my charge for you as well. I want you to eat good. I want you to sleep good. I want you to be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.